Hey everyone, and welcome to Docketwise's new feature Roundup webinar. My name is Chris, product manager at Docketwise, and I will be covering our newest features released during the third quarter of 2022. So at the end of this webinar, we will also have a Q&A session. So if you have any questions, please, of course, feel free to leave them in the Q&A. In this webinar, we will be going over some of our most recent features and upgrades to smart forms and intakes, case management and case tracking, reporting and invoicing, and finally messaging. Now, if you are watching the recording of this video on YouTube, you will be able to find the time codes for each of the features in the description below. And without further ado, let's get started with our first feature, which is to do with smart forms. So the first feature that I want to get started with, actually, let me just close out of here. The first feature that I would like to share is the option for hiding questions on questionnaires and intakes. So let me just go ahead first and open up a form so I can show you how that works. So once we're here, I'm going to be seeing the questionnaire. Of course, these are all of the questions as seen here, as they will be seeing, as the invitee or the client will be seeing once I send the invitation. You'll see here we have the option to hide. So this is the eye icon, in addition to the options we have for the flagging and leaving a comment. So all you have to do to hide a specific question is just click on the eye icon, and you'll see it'll become grayed out, and you'll see this on the side that the question is currently hidden for the client. So I'm going to hide all of the questions that I hypothetically don't want my client to see, let's say, and then I can go ahead and send an invitation out to them. So let me just get these notifications out of the way, and I'll go ahead and share an invitation with my client to fill out the intake with the questions hidden that I do not want the client or the invitee to see. So I'll just choose the option for a shareable link, and I'll do custom. Actually, I won't customize access. We'll keep it as is with just the questions hidden that are, and we'll generate that link. And now I'm just going to open up in an incognito window the invitation here, so you can see what that'll appear like for the invitee. So you can see here that all of the questions that were hidden are not appearing for the invitee right here. And with that out of the way, let's move on to our next feature for smart forms and intakes, which is involving the translation of the questions in the intake. So you and your clients can now actually translate smart form intake questions into 3 additional languages, which are Korean, Turkish, and Haitian Creole. These have been added in addition to our previously available languages, which were Spanish, Portuguese, French, Hindi, Arabic, Chinese, and Russian, now bringing the total number of languages to 11. So let's go ahead and translate this as, let's say, the invitee of the intake. Let's say I want to translate it to Haitian Creole. I would just simply click on those 3 dots, translate, and then choose the language I would like to see this in. And now you can see after I translated that questionnaire, you can see all of these questions, no matter the section, they are all in Haitian Creole. So let's go ahead and close out of here. And then we can see here, once I refresh, it'll also be in the same language that was last selected, unless reverted back otherwise. So I myself, as the firm member, I could go ahead and click on the 3 dots and translate that back into English if I would like, or I could translate it into whichever language I know the invitee will like to see the questions in before sending that out, and it will appear that way for them as well. So that is how easy it is just to translate all of those questions on the intake. And of course, an interpreter would need to translate any of those answers that are, open-ended. Of course, that would need translation into the smart form before that's done. So next, we actually have a new feature that's especially helpful for preparing various I-129 petitions by importing repeat answers for the same corporate clients and corporate petition types if you're going to be repeating that. So with our import answers option for the I-129, you can now import answers from previously prepared I-129 petitions, saving you time on preparing multiple petitions, let's say with repeated information. So this one, I guess we'll have this serve as a template for what I'm going to be copying from. Let's say Planet Express. They're filing multiple H-1Bs at the same time. And this is just the first one we prepared. They're all going to be the same for the information. It's on the application tab. So let's go ahead and first create a new form. Let's just, of course, create a new form. And we'll go ahead and choose who will be involved in this. So Planet Express, of course, is the client. And we'll make a new matter for that. And we'll create that matter. So the forms we'll want to include, let's just say we're going to include the I-129. And the petitioner will be Planet Express. And we'll add the beneficiary in here as well, who we'll have to actually create. Or let me check to see if I actually already have that client in here first. So let me see, search for, yes, we do actually already have the client in here. So we'll just go ahead and proceed with this I-129 after we add the G28, of course. So we've added the G28. Planet Express will be represented in here. And we'll go ahead and proceed. So now we can actually continue straight towards the intake and import these questions. So all we have to do is just click on the import answers button, and then we'll open up a modal to select what we'll be importing. So just a note is that the answers that are imported are limited to the application tab that you see right here on the left-hand side of the screen. So this is where the questions will be copied from and imported to from one to the other. It won't be doing anything in the tabs for the foreign national or the company right here information, just specific to the petition, let's say. So all I have to do in here is I can click in here. Let's say I want to type a head, or I can just search for whichever one I'd like to import. So you'll see the header here. That'll be the client that's associated, as you saw in the assemble step. And then, of course, we'll see down here the beneficiary and the corresponding matter if one is assigned. So that's just how these are displayed right here. And I know, of course, this is the one I want to import. So go ahead, select it. And also just a note here is if I had entered any information into the application tab prior to importing answers, and then I later imported answers, that would overwrite any answer previously input by me manually, just because I'm importing all the answers from one form into another for the application tab. So I'll go ahead and click import just to import all of those answers in here. So after this loads, you can see that all of these questions that were previously answered in another questionnaire for, let's say, the same corporate client and the same petition type, just because it's all going to be repeat information. I have all of that copied now from the I-129. So now let's move on to the upgrades and additions for our case management and case tracking features. And the first one I want to bring to your attention is our feature for custom note categories. So I'll go ahead and head over to the notes index here. And you can see that we actually had 4 default note categories before. We had government actions, memo, phone call, and meetings. So we have now added, in addition to those, the option to create custom note categories so you and your firm can have more granular note tracking, let's say. So in order to add one, I could actually add one while creating a note, which I'll show you in just a moment. Or I could go ahead into settings and note settings, just so I can show you what that would look like from here. So I already did create another one right here, which was case status update. Let's say I want to create another one just to keep track of consultation notes, since that'll be done for basically every case, and there are going to be some important details I'd like to keep track of there and easily filter for, of course, and track notes. So once I entered in the name, I can just click on save, and that note category will be added. So let's say I want to go to one of my clients. Let's just say I'll find any of the clients, and I'll just leave a note here. So just to leave a note, I can click here and here. I'll click a note here. Had consultation with client USC wanting to petition for spouse. I'll just keep it brief for demonstration's sake, and I can click the notes category that I would like to select here. You can see that I also have the option to add another note category from the category dropdown here, which will just open up a little modal, or I could add another note category from there. But I'm just going to choose this one for the consultation since that's what it is. And once that's done, I'll go ahead and click add note. And another cool thing that I want to, of course, show you what we can do is, let's say, we of course have tons of notes here. If I want to filter just for a specific note category, I can do that just for consultation. If I want to see all of my consultation notes across the firm, I can just simply click the consultation filter. Or I can also do that, let's say if this demonstration contact had more notes and I wanted to just quickly find which one were the consultation notes. I could, of course, filter for the note category I would like to see there. So next, let's move on to our upgrade for Docketwise events, which allows you and your clients to receive text message notification reminders for upcoming events. With event reminders in Docketwise, you can now easily send text message reminders in addition to our original option of email reminders for upcoming events to yourself, your colleagues, and your clients. So just to show you this real quickly, I'm going to hop over to my events dashboard. And let's say I want to make an event. So you can see here that we have added an option for SMS as well. So if this were selected, the attendees that were indicated here would also receive text message reminders in addition to the email. Or if I were to deselect the email, it would just be text message reminders going to the attendees that I had specified here. Now you'll see, of course, like this is how I can change, I guess, the reminders on a case-by-case basis as I am creating the event reminder. Of course, I can indicate if I'd like SMS to go out by default with all event reminders, or just when I'm creating that event, I can specify that in my event settings right here. So if I want to create an event and automatically have it, say SMS messages will be sent to the attendees, I could do that just from here. And I can also change the time before the event that the notifications will go out. So let's just say I'm going to save these. And when I create a new, specific to events, when I create a new event, you'll see that it automatically has SMS here. I can change it on a case-by-case basis, of course, if I want to when creating events. That's just how to create the, I guess, the default setting when creating an event. So of course, just to create this event, we would have to give it a title and then also add some attendees. So I can add myself as an attendee, as like a firm member. I can also add, let's say, I can add the contacts as well that I would like to be notified about the event. So let's say I'm also going to be notifying this client, this contact as well. And the SMS, so of course for contacts, this will be the mobile phone number that's left for the contact in the contacts overview page. And for the firm members, that will be the SMS. The SMS message will go to the mobile phone number left under the prepare settings. So just quickly to show you where to navigate to set that up, in case you don't know already, would be under settings, and we will go to prepare information right here, just to get the mobile phone number set up for the quote unquote prepare. So next, let's actually jump over to a similar feature for our case tracking features, which is to do specifically with our custom expiry dates. Now, in addition to custom expiry dates, the default ones that we had before, I can quickly show you the ones that we had to start out with. So the expiration dates that we had, of course, were U.S. status, advanced expiry, or advanced parole expiry, EAD, passports, our travel documents, non-immigrant visa, current authorized stay, petition, expiration date, and LCA. So we added actually the ability to add custom expiration dates so that you are actually able to keep track of client-related or client-specific, upcoming client-specific or client-related dates just by entering them in here and having the reminder automatically generated along with the event. So let me go ahead and show you how to get that set up. The first thing we want to do is set up the custom attribute for the custom expiry date. So under settings, what we'll do is click on custom attributes. And from here, we'll just click on the button to create a new one. And from the type, we'll select expiry date. So let's say we want to, I guess, keep track of, let's just say hypothetically, NATS eligibility or NATS eligible. So I'll just create that. And of course, this can only be applied to contacts. It cannot be applied to matters for expiration dates. So now that we have the custom attribute for expiration date, let's go ahead and set up the expiration date reminder settings, which we can do right here. So to get started on setting that up, we'll just go ahead and click on new reminder setting. We'll choose the one we want, which is NATS eligible for the NATS naturalization eligibility. And let's say just put it on, I guess we'll just put it on phone call just for the time being. And then let's say client assignee. So whoever's assigned to the contact will be receiving the reminder. So we're going to be adding a couple of reminders here. I'm going to be doing it for 3, 6, and 9 months ahead of the eligibility date. And let's go ahead and just save these reminder settings. So once I enter that date, the event will be created with these reminders settings. So it'll go to the client assignees, those reminders. All right, so let's just go to one of our contacts and just so we can enter that in, see how that works. So all we have to do actually is just go to expiration dates. We find the one we want to fill in, and let's just say we'll enter the date in there and we'll click enter and have it set. So next, let's move on to our invoicing upgrade, dealing specifically with tracking invoices on payment plans. So I'm going to go ahead back into the presentation here, just so I can show some information related to this. So let me just put this on full screen. There we go. All right. So let me just jump into this information here. So Docketwise invoice reporting actually makes it easier now than ever to track and follow up on payment plans. So it allows you to track which invoices have active payment plans and also which ones have delinquent billing or which ones are behind in the billing and have not received all of the expected payments. So here is just an overview of how this works. We made some changes in the invoice reporting and in the payment reporting as well. So we're going to start with invoice reporting. The first 4 rows you see here are new columns, and the last one is just an update. So payment plan status, we can have that be active or not active. Of course, that is pretty self-explanatory. If the invoice has an active payment plan, it will be active. If not, it will be not active. The payment plan frequency is the frequency of the installments. So that can be daily, weekly, or monthly. If it's on a payment plan, the installment amount is the amount to be paid each installment. Of course, that's only if it's on a payment plan. So the overdue balance is another new column we've added, or another new data point we've added. So for an invoice on a payment plan, this will be the expected payments minus the received payments since activating the payment plan. And of course, if it's one without a payment plan, it will just be the outstanding balance if it has passed its due date. Now for late status, basically this will be for whether it is on a payment plan or not on a payment plan. It will be on time if the overdue balance is less than or equal to 0. And it will be considered late if the overdue balance is greater than 0. And we can just use, of course, the formula above to of course, know whether or not there should be an overdue balance on that. So I'm going to go ahead and show the invoice reporting right after I cover quickly how the changes in the payment reporting works. So in the payment reports, we've added a payment status. So there's paid on time, partially late, and paid late. So paid on time will, of course, be if it's paid before or on the date it's expected, whether it's on a payment plan or not. So if it's on a payment plan, that will just be based on the payment plan frequency and installment amounts. If it's not on a payment plan, it will just be the due dates and the total balance. So partially late, that will only happen if it's on a payment plan. So that is if a payment is made late, but in excess of the overdue balance. And paid late, of course, is if it's paid late in an equal or lesser amount of the overdue balance. So let me go ahead and show you how that works. I just have to jump onto another account that's actually connected with the integration here. So in invoice reports, let's say I want to run a report on all payment plans that have gone delinquent, and I need to have my staff follow up with the clients to collect payments. So what I'll do is, of course, just I can open up this one. We've also added a new one that has these filters automatically applied, but it's just starting with invoices. I think after a certain date in September or August that it was started here. So it wouldn't date back before, I guess, August of 2022 for information in this report. So I'll just use this one. So here, of course, I'll do payment plan status, which is right here. So we need it to be active, and we want ones that are delinquent. So that would be late. So these are the only ones that we need. Let's filter for invoices that have delinquent status payment plans. So we'll update here, and you can see the installment amount, payment plan frequency, and the overdue balance here. So the overdue balance is what we're looking for. We want to know by how much is this invoice overdue at today. So this one we see is overdue by 600. It's missed 4 installments. Same for this one right here, and we can just easily see how much money each invoice is late by, and by how much, to easily follow up with the clients and hopefully collect the payments that need to be collected. So next, let's finally move on to our last feature upgrade of the quarter, which is to deal with messaging. And this option is to include an email signature with outgoing email communications. So what I'm going to do is first go over to the settings where we can do this. And this would be done under personal information. I'm just going to go ahead quickly and copy an email signature that I just had been sending, I guess, in one of the email apps before. So I'll go ahead and just copy this over. So we have now the email signature in here with all of the images, and I guess the linked images as well, which would navigate the client or the client over to the social media platforms. If I want to include that as well. And you'll see a slider bar right here. Now, if you want to have this basically, this is the default settings pretty much you can think of for your signature. You can include it or not include it on a case-by-case basis. This is just how it will toggle on or toggle off based on your preferences when sending that. But you can, of course, change that on a case-by-case basis when sending an individual message. So I want this toggled on. The signature looks good, and I'll go ahead and save those changes. So now that we have the signature added, let's go ahead and actually send out a message. So I'll choose this client right here, and we'll send out a message. So let's just enter in an email address. And we'll, of course, have to enter a message. Let's choose, an email right here. And I can preview, of course, to see the signature, how that will look with, let me just delete this part. That's not necessary. So I can do preview right now, and we can see how the email will look. So the email signature is in here. Of course, if I don't want to include it in this specific message, I can toggle it off. I want it to be included, so I'll leave that on, and I'll go ahead and send the email. So now we can go ahead and actually see how this will look to the client who would have received this in the messages that were sent. So we can see right here, of course, all of the information is included in the email, as well as my email signature down here at the bottom. So now that we've actually come to an end of the demo of the new features, I'd like to take a moment to respond to some questions in the Q&A. So let me go ahead and open that up. And I see we have a couple, but if anybody has any other questions, please, of course, feel free to put the questions in the Q&A below. So does the translation work on custom questions also? So I'm guessing you're referring to custom questions. Let me just navigate over here for some clarity. So for a custom intake, we have the option for custom questions. So these are questions that I myself would type in as a user in English or whichever language I would like to hear. These questions specifically in custom, since these are generated by, I guess, the firm, these will not be translated, but they can be entered in any language. All of these that are Docketwise pre-made questions, all of these will translate in the custom intake. Just a question made by a user will not translate into another language. Next question, let me go through this one. Can you add an image to the email signature? I tried, but it wasn't successful. Yes, so you can add an image to the email signature. The best way I would recommend is just copying and pasting. So let me just go to this message right here. What I would recommend is, like, if you're using Outlook or Gmail, just copy whatever your whole email signature is, and then you can paste that into the settings where that's done. And I think that's the easiest way to get it done. And all of the links and the dimensions should be the same as they were. All right, so I think that does it. Thank everybody for taking the time to stay up to date with Docketwise's newest features, and I look forward to seeing you in the next new features roundup.